Thanks for tuning in today to Houston Real Estate Radio this Sunday afternoon to learn more about real estate news and information you can use on your next real estate transaction. I'm Shannon Register, and you can find more about our guest and the issues we bring you at HoustonRealEstateRadio.com. We also have a fan page over on Facebook, and you can listen to us using iTunes or the iHeartRadio app. And we're also on Voice America. So if you don't have time to listen to us right now while you're driving down the road, you can always schedule a time online and watch our videos. We're over at HoustonRealEstateRadio.com. If you've got a real estate question, we take your calls, 281-882-8088. We'll answer those on the air for you. Or you can tweet us your questions using hashtag HRER, and we'll answer them on the air for you as well. That number again is 281-882-8088. All right, we've got a great show lined up for you today. Lots of exciting news. One of the things that really has caught a lot of attention in the news is what's going on with fracking. So we wanted to bring on a specialist. I mean, we are right here in the heart of the energy epicenter of the world here, and wanted to bring on someone to talk to us about that because I know a lot of, well, not a lot, but some people in Houston own large amounts of land throughout Texas and want to find out what's going on with fracking here in the Houston area. I've brought on Dr. Michael Economides. He's a professor of chemical and biomolecular engineering over at the University of Houston. That's a mouthful. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you. Hi.
So you're internationally known for this. You know all there is to know about fracking. So I just want to pick your brain and really get some good information out there for our consumers to know what's going on really around this controversial issue.
Well, you realize it's not that controversial. It's controversial because some people like to make it controversial. It's been around for 64 years now, this whole process. Hydraulic fracturing is nothing that complicated, okay? I mean, let me rephrase that. It is very complicated to do this, but on principle is rather simple. What you do is that you crack the rock by injecting high-pressure water, mostly. Mm-hmm. Then you crack the rock and you pump in there granular materials. We call them probants. They can be natural sands or it can be even artificial materials like ceramics that we manufacture. So we put them in there in a special way. So when the rock is open because of pressure, once it tries to close, it closes with those probants inside. So it leaves a path into the reservoir. Mm-hmm. Its dimension is about maybe half an inch wide. It can be several hundred feet long. So it's a crack in the formation, one crack. Mm-hmm. Okay. And the fluids then from the reservoir will enter this crack perpendicular to the crack orientation and then move along the crack into the well, along the fracture into the well. Without fracturing, natural gas cannot be produced. In other words, before we go any further, when people object, they talk about controversy, there is an unassailable truth. No frack, no gas. In other words, don't beat it around the bush, in other words.
Okay, so there's no other way to get it out?
No way.
Okay. So why then has it become so popular recently if it's been around for 60 years?
Because of a new type of a reservoir, of a new type of a resource that is arguably the biggest story in the American oil and gas business in the last 50 years. And that is shale gas and shale oil. Now, shale is a special kind of a rock, okay? Mm-hmm. We have different kinds of rocks. We have carbonate rocks, we have sandstones, and now we have shales, okay? What is a shale? A shale is a special kind of a rock where the organic matter and the rock itself are intermixed. They are mixed together. If you see it, you can smell the oil and gas in it, okay? Now, this shale is a very tough tight rock. And the irony is that for the last 40 years, shale was not only supposed not to produce oil and gas, it was supposed to be a barrier, that is the limit barrier between sandstone that we like, let's say pay dirt as we call it, and above and below. If you had shale in the past, sandwich in a reservoir, you were happy because then you know where your gas is, your oil is, and so on. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, this is not what happened. Shale proved to be a very prolific producer of natural gas. So it's an amazing new transformation where a rock that used to be considered as useless and a nuisance suddenly became the source of the biggest riches.
So here in Texas, when someone owns a large piece of property and it's got this shale and you can do fracking on the land, tell us what kind of what you would expect as a homeowner if you're going to allow fracking on your land. What are the consequences of it as far as the aesthetics of it?
Well, the aesthetics is minimal, okay? I mean, the residual aesthetics is nothing. It looks, if you have oil, you're going to have this, the beam pump. You see
right.
Very fanciful designs all over Texas. They even put cowboy hats on them,
Make them look good, right?
That's cute.
So you have to have the pump, okay.
Gas is even smaller. Mm-hmm. Gas doesn't have a pump, okay? It's just a 5 foot, 6 foot, 8 foot tall stack in the middle of nowhere, okay? Then the gas comes up from the reservoir up, and then it goes out again from the wellhead into some...
Don't you have to have the tanks, though, for it to go into?
Well, if you have oil, yes.
Okay.
If you have gas, no.
Okay.
If you have gas, no. You can centralize your facilities. Even with oil, you don't need to have a tank for every oil well, okay?
Okay.
You can select 3 of them.
So you could have 200 acres of land and only have... people would only see less than an acre of disruption in the land due to the...
Oh, far less.
Far less. Okay, good. Okay. So are there any issues with the animals living on that land or anything else with the nature?
Yeah, animals actually, you need to protect them from themselves because you always have to fence your wellhead. Mm-hmm. Because animals like to come and lick it.
Okay.
Because it's warm as it comes out. And also, if it leaks a little, it's generally brine. And cows love salt,
Right.
So they come and lick that stuff. Mm-hmm. It won't hurt them much at all, But it's not very good to have all the cows licking your wellhead,
Yeah, so put a fence around that area.
Exactly.
Fence it off. Okay. So no other issues, though? No other major issues with the landscape side of it? Okay. Let's talk briefly then about how do you protect your land as far as a landowner. If you're next to someone who's pumping oil or gas off the property, how do you know if they're getting into your oil and gas?
Well, that is subject of litigation.
That's the $1 million question, right?
They're always fighting, about this kind of stuff because you can always get an expert to come and make a fanciful study. Mm-hmm. Just that 5% of the other guy's gas comes from your property. The state of Texas, to prevent this stranglehold on the courts, they have what they call the right of capture. That is, if a well or a property is outside somebody's, let's say, lease or any agreement with somebody else, then anything that you can produce undergoes what they call the law of capture. You capture it yourself just by proper operations downhole, and there you have it.
All right.
So you don't have to worry about it, in other words.
Okay. So you're protected again. You think that that's not a common issue going on?
Well, as long as you tell people that you are doing it and you do things legally. Mm-hmm. For example, if your well, the bottom hole of your well, must be X number of feet from the other guy's boundary, the bottom hole, okay?
Okay.
So if you drill your well, if gas still comes to you because it's faster flow rate, better flow characteristics or whatever, you get to keep that.
Okay. All right, well, let's go to a quick break, and we'll be right back with more here on Houston Real Estate Radio.